Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Everybody's good? Audio's good? We'll make sure everybody can hear it. Elizabeth Sun gave me the heads up in the beginning of the meeting. I hope I can hear it. You good? You can hear Elizabeth? Okay. I'm going to start out as we do with the Board of Alderman meetings, and we're going to kind of have a implication here. As we begin this Board of Alderman, or these discussions, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join us in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May these conversations be guided by wisdom, decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Take a moment. Okay, thank you. I'm going to start out. I want to recognize some elected officials and some other folks that we have here with us. In the back here, we got Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2 for Bell County, Judge Cliff Coleman. Also, Precinct 2 County Commissioner Mr. Bobby Whitson is here with us tonight. Former Alderman Paul Cox is here. Who else we got? Am I missing anybody? I know. I think State Representative Brad Buckley's on his way. Jessica, is that correct? Oh, he's here for Brad. Hey, Brad. And everyone else in attendance, I appreciate you being here. It's Thursday night. I know you had other options, but you chose to be here, so welcome. We're going to jump into this real quick, but first I'm going to set some ground rules. This is a little bit different than what we're normally doing, and this is not a Board of Alderman meeting. This is a town hall meeting. So we're going to do things a little bit differently. One, we're going to have a conversation tonight about kind of where we're at financially, where we're headed, kind of what our path forward is, and that's going to be the focus of what we're talking about tonight. I've got some papers up here to sign up to speak. Not necessary. I'm going to open it up at the end for questions and answers. I'm only going to entertain questions that have to do with this. This is not a complaint session. I'm not going to open it up for a complaint session. We're going to talk about this. If you want to complain about this, that's fine. But we're not going to get into a debate about all things village related and what we did report and what we didn't report or how we reported it. We're going to talk about this and this alone. So let's just get into it. Go ahead and give us that first slide. Economic and demographic snapshot. There's our population. 2,394 is what's estimated right now. Median age 48 years. And our 65-year population is right over 25%. Median household income 103,500. Home ownership 88.5%, which is above the average rate in the state of Texas. Hang on to that number, 88.5%, because we're going to discuss that here in a little while. Median home price is $473,000. Some accolades and recognitions for Salado. We are voted one of the best places to live in Texas. Overall grade is A, public schools A minus, housing B, cost of living B, crime safety B plus. Ranked number 2, top 10 historic towns in Texas. 2024 healthiest places to live in Bell County. 2024 most diverse places to live in Bell County. Ranked number 6 welcoming towns to retire in Texas. We were featured in the Texas Monthly, Texas Highway, and 4 Texas magazines. National recognition here recently. That gentleman that was on The Voice, our starlets here from Salado High School, were recently in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and we're very proud of them for that. Yellowstone, that everyone knows that TV show Yellowstone. I was featured in that because of Bloomer's trailer. So everybody knows that Bloomer's is in Salado, and everywhere, anytime there was a trailer featured in that TV series, Bloomer's was there. City personnel. I'm going to start out with City Administrator, Mr. Manny De La Rosa. Sitting over here at the table, City Secretary and Municipal Court Clerk, who's a full-time employee, is Miss Deborah Bean. She here tonight? No. City Planner, Mr. Gina Pence, who's sitting right up here. Chief Alan Fields is back there in the back there. We got, and with him, he's got 8 full-time police officer, Sergeant Chris Dunchey, is with him tonight. He's his patrol and operations sergeant. Permanent municipal court clerk is Letitia Guana. Public Works full-time. There's no name there. We just hired a seasonal gentleman. He is full-time, but he's seasonal. Again, we'll hang on to that one. We're going to talk about that here in a minute too. Tourism and marketing manager is Miss Deanna. We appreciate you being here. Seasonal office staff, Miss Jennifer Phelps. She's a part-time assistant along with Teresa Spinks. And then a part-time tourism is Melanie Wayne. We've all heard, I've heard conversations, I've heard comments that were made in and around the village that the village does not provide any services to our residents other than police coverage. I beg to differ with you. Come into this building during normal operating hours, Monday through Friday, and see the things that are happening here. Hop in here and just ask the ladies what they're working on. Come see Mr. De La Rosa, come see Ms. Pence and see. There's so much going on in these four walls that the general public is just not aware of, because honestly, we don't get this sort of turnout at the Board of Aldermen meetings. People are not there to hear these conversations, and they don't realize the progress that we've made just since, I guess, Mr. De La Rosa took over, but also since the beginning of the fiscal year. There are a lot of exciting things that are happening. So everybody on that list right there plays a very vital role in everything that we do, and eliminating any one of those just creates more burden on somebody else. The three at the bottom, office staff, seasonal, both of those, and then the part-time tourism, they're part-time. We don't have to worry about paying benefits. They don't get retirement benefits, no health benefits, none of those kind of things. So that's a cost-saving measure. We took one full-time position and turned it into two part-time positions. Same thing with tourism. The public works gentleman, Israel, I'm not sure, he's brand new. I don't know his last name. Same thing. He's seasonal right now. He doesn't get benefits. He works. What are his hours? 5 hours a day. Yeah. So he comes in here and makes sure that he gets all the things knocked out before lunchtime. That some of the maintenance things around town that need to get taken care of. Emptying trash, making sure the restrooms are open at Pace Park. Any trash situations, walking through, picking up sticks, and walking the park, making sure there's nothing there that's going to hurt any children or anything like that. Letitia, the permit clerk, she's in there and she's collecting money. She's invoicing for permits. She is charging appropriately for permits now, and we'll talk more about that here in a little while too. Things that the village has been subsidizing developers and people wanting to make improvements to their property or whatever the case is. We've been subsidizing those costs for them, and we'll do a little deeper dive here in a few minutes on that. The 8 police officers that are with Chief Fields, all of them are on the road now, except for you got one that's still in field training, and he's got probably another, what was it, 16 weeks total, Chief? Okay. As I understand, he's moving along quite well, so we're happy to have him. I am really just ecstatic with the police department that we have, and the culture that he's built, that Chief Fields has built with that department. He's all about community policing. He gets out there and he gets involved, and his folks are they're some award winners. We got one guy, Officer Ferdin. He's got 2 life-saving awards in 6 months. So our guys are out there doing what they're supposed to do, and they're out there engaging with the community. Okay, let's go on to the next one, please. Updates, investigation on the village's finances. I know everybody wants to know about that. That is still under investigation. There's not really a whole lot that I can really speak to that at this point, other than to say it has been determined from a forensic audit standpoint. It doesn't appear to be a situation of embezzlement or anything like that. There were no weird transactions with any unknown account numbers or anything like that. Nothing going in anybody's personal account. So we didn't anticipate that was the issue anyway, and it wasn't even really the direction that we were looking in. But in the course of the investigation, they're going to exhaust all avenues to make sure that they really find out what really happened with this money. Really, what we're finding out is that it was money that it was just spent. It was spent on things that it shouldn't have been spent on. It was we're looking at negligence, is it gross negligence, whatever we got to be, and we're going to let PD and law enforcement folks handle that and make that decision. And what happens moving forward will be determined by how they see fit, and how the attorney general sees fit, and how the district attorney sees fit. With that, this is not a witch hunt. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody to do anything. I'm not going to politicize this. This is all about finding out what happened, where did the money go, and what can we do, what processes can we put in place to keep it from happening again. Those processes are already in place. That was one of those things almost immediately when this situation was identified, and I can't even take credit for it. I just happened to be the mayor at the time. But Manny kind of, we set up a meeting, we come in here to have a conversation, and he's like, "Mayor, I need you to sit next to the accountant." I felt like he was setting me up because she had some bad news for me, but it was it is what it is, and we're going to get past it. General election on May the 3rd, 2025 for 3 aldermen. We got Alderman Graham is on his way out. My empty seat is up for grabs, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Bell. He's not running again. So there's 3 seats that are truly up for grabs, and I would encourage anybody who's interested in making a difference in the community and being in a position to truly make a difference and make those decisions on behalf of your friends and family and neighbors, and making this a good place to live and continue that on. If you feel so led, then drop your packet, and we'll see you in May at the poll. I really encourage that. Also, a special election on May 3rd, 2025 on reducing the tax rate. As everyone's aware, there was a petition that was filed and we anticipated it, to roll back the tax rate from what we adopted at right just above 48 cents, to roll it back to the voter-approved tax rate of 36.12 cents. We knew that this tax increase was going to trigger the potential for that, so we moved up some deadlines to accommodate for what could happen. We anticipated the petition. We moved our deadlines up in order to give them that time that they need to get the signatures on the petition and to get it filed and get it on the ballot. Even going as far as I had a conversation with the gentleman that created the petition and said, "I respect your right to file this petition, and I support you exercising your right to do so." And even went a step further and said that if for some reason you can't meet those deadlines, for anything that we did, if we held you up and you feel like you want to take this to district court and get a ruling on this to get this put onto the ballot for May, I'll go to court on your behalf and request the district judge that this extension be granted and that this stuff be put on there because it's your right to do it. And I never said anything negative against it, and I'm not going to say anything negative against it tonight. We're just here to kind of educate on what happens if we move forward what we're doing now, or if things happen to go back to where they're at. And we're going to talk through some of those, and we're going to talk through some of the historically where we've been over the past since 2017, 2018 with our tax rate and our finances and that kind of thing. I think that's all on that one. Go ahead and go to the next one, please. Thank you. Let's start talking about some of the things that kind of led us to where we're at today financially. Here we can address this. This is the elephant in the village right here, the Sanctuary Development Agreement that was originally signed back in November of 2015 and then amended in November of 2022. Kind of the running joke around the office here in the municipal offices is that you can't make this stuff up. Some of the things that we're seeing, some of the things that we read in these agreements, you just kind of shake your head and scratch your head. Knowing, and we found the documentation to support it, that there were attorneys that spoke against this and said, "Don't do this. This is not good for the village. It's 100% benefits the developer, not the village. Don't do it." We did it anyway. We are now over, I think, for the next 20 years, we're going to have to reimburse them 50% of their property taxes. So anything that we get that's sanctuary related, whether it's apartments or Castle Rock, whatever else they decide to do over there across 2268, for the next number of years, they're going to receive 50%. So that developer is going to receive 50% of the property taxes on those properties. Towards a marketing agreement, Village Salado agreed to pay 50% of the hot funds. They're going to build hotels apparently at some point, and once that thing is finally built, then we will remit 50% of their hotel occupancy funds back to them. So this thing is just, and then look at the impact fees at the bottom. 100% impact fees for wastewater, park dedication, whatever the case may be. When the builder builds it, they pay their impact fees. according to this agreement, we got to turn right around and refund those impact fees, what we just received from the builder to build what they want to build and give it back to the sanctuary developers. I don't know how that benefits us at all. But, this one here is a little more recent. Eagle Heights Development, original agreement signed November of 2020. And this is something that I spoke to during the mayor's campaign about who did what and who approved what and who was responsible for it. You're looking at the village of Salado waived $592,900 in development fees for that subdivision over there. Then an additional $540,960. $1.13 million. That commercial development, unfortunately, is good for the next 5 years, or 5 years from November of 2020, unless 6 months out they decide they want an extension on that. All they have to do is request it, and it happens automatically. But just wait, there's more. It doesn't follow the developer, it follows the land. So now that developer is selling that property to somebody else, and we have to waive all their fees too, because it's part of this agreement. So this is just a gift that keeps on giving. And we'll continue again to have those conversations. That commercial development will also benefit from the waiver of fees. Sidewalks were not required for Eagle Heights, nor will it be required for what's going in over here with this D.R. Horton office building. However, we requested the 5-foot sidewalks in there, and they have graciously agreed to do so. And we do appreciate their willingness to do that. And it's going to tie into what we're doing over there on Williams Road, and we'll talk about that also as a capital improvement project here in the next few minutes. Okay, take it to the next one there. The current tax rate is set at 48.6 cents per $100 of valuation. The voter approved tax rate is 36.12 per 100. And we calculated this. We were sitting down looking at the budget. Every cent brings in approximately $38,000 in property tax revenue. So the things that we're looking at, once we saw that the petition had the signature that it needed, and it was going to go through, we had conversations with myself and Manny and the board, and we made the decision that my conversation with Manny was, this is not going to be what I'm remembered for. That I come in and less than 90 days in the office, discover that we're in this financial situation, do what I can to fix it. Surrounded by very intelligent people, Manny, our financial advisors, our accountant, our attorneys, that sort of thing. And then the petition goes, the voters approve the rollback, and then we end up having to pay almost $600,000, $550,000 that will have to be reimbursed to the taxpayer, the property owners, and the village of Salado, and we have 60 days to do so. So my statement was, I'm not going to be the guy to raise taxes. We get a petition, we have to pay back the money, and we don't have the money to pay it back. So let's just clarify something. I've talked about it before in some of the Board of Alderman meetings about the rhetoric on Facebook and all the different conspiracy theories and all that, which I have zero interest in hearing any of that. We didn't cut out the grass cutting on Main Street as we're just going to take our ball and go home. You're going to file your petition, we're going to take our ball and go home. Remember what I said in the beginning, I supported their right to file the petition. And I said that in a very public place when I made that comment to him. We didn't do that for that. We did it because it takes off $31,000 off of our budget. So that's an immediate savings of $31,000. Again, every penny is approximately $38,000. So there's a 1 cent reduction right there. We've got 2 police officer positions open up right now. That equates to around $180,000 for 2 police officers once you include their payroll and their labor burden and benefits and all that. So do the math on that. $160,000 divided by 38,000. So you're what is that, another 4.5 cents, 5 cents. So we're not doing that to try to stifle anything or to say, well, then if you're not going to let us do this, then we're going to do that. That's just not the case at all. We're trying to be responsible with it because we don't want to be in a situation that, should this measure pass, that we have to pay the money back. We're not in a position to do so. So as far as I'm concerned, I thought it was a very responsible thing to do. I guess there are others in the community who don't see it that way, and we're just trying to do the best that we can with what we have. and with the staff that we have, and we're going to continue to push forward. But we've tightened our belt, and we're not spending money on things that we don't have to spend money on. Something could come up that does, we'll take it on a case by case basis. Okay, next one. So at 48.6 cents, you're looking at it's about $1.8 million in property tax revenue. If it rolls back to 36.12 cents, it brings us to 1.3 million, which again we will have to remit an estimated just under $550,000 if this measure should pass. And I'm not here to say don't vote for this or do vote for this. That's not what I'm here to do at all. I'm just here to educate you on what it is that we've determined, kind of what we've seen, what we're doing, what we're going to do, and what is our path moving forward, like just to get us out of the situation that we're in. And there, as I said earlier, there are some exciting things that are happening. Okay, next one. The Village of Salado exemptions. Hope you can see that. Local, well, let's go through this. Local over 65 is $50,000. They freeze it, and then they drop it down $50,000. Then you go local disabled, same thing. That's not disabled veterans. That's a whole other category. They reduce your property taxes by $50,000. Then you see our maintenance and operating cost and our interest and sinking, and then the total tax rate of 48.6. Go ahead and go to the next one, please. Here is a comparison of other jurisdictions in our area. Let's look at that first column, local homestead. Blank, 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 blank. We get the Little River Academy. That's that 5%. Blank all the way down to Village of Salado, 20% or $5,000 or a minimum of $5,000. Same thing with the City of Temple. What that is in addition, and I didn't know anything about this until I became mayor and we started kind of talking through some of these things. And a lot of the population that I'm speaking with are not aware of it either. There's an ordinance on the books right now that in addition to whatever your homestead is through the county and the tax appraisal district, we give you an additional 20% off of your appraisal. Everybody, you don't have to do anything. You get it automatically by ordinance, and they take it off of your tax appraisal in their little system. It's keyed in there, and it's Village of Salado within that area. You get your homestead exemption if you're eligible for it, and you also get everyone an additional 20% off of your tax appraisal. That's something we just give to you. And is anybody in here not aware of that? You're all aware that it was a 20%, an additional 20%? Well, there's a lot of folks that I talked to out in the community that had no idea. Let's look at, and we've seen some of the things on some of these different sites on Facebook and that kind of thing. And let's look at, we're being compared to how great of a job Nolanville's doing, how great of a job, what was the other one that we heard here recently? Troy. Let's look at Troy. They don't offer any exemptions. They do a freeze only on the local over 65, no local homesteads. Their tax rate's at 44. Let's go up to Rogers. Rogers offers nothing except for over 65, and they only give you a deduction of $5,000, and their tax rate's 95 cents. Like I don't. Bell County, they're not offering any of those except for local over 65 and disabled. Bartlett, nothing. Belton, local over 65, $10,000. So I think overall, in comparison to surrounding communities, we have a pretty good year in the village. I was a little bit baffled by that additional 20% exemption. Remember the rate we talked about earlier, I said hang on to that number, the home ownership. When you do those kind of things and you put those sort of incentives in place with the 20% exemptions, that's for communities that have a low percentage of home ownership. They do it to incentivize people to buy homes and to move to their area. We're well past that. So there's probably going to be some conversations, hopefully maybe in the near future, about what do we need to do, and do we need to overturn that and change it or lower it or whatever we need to do. That's not up to me. It'll be up to the Board of Aldermen, but we are going to start having those conversations. We're looking at things that I am here to challenge the status quo, and I said that in my campaign, and I said it in an open meeting recently. I don't know how anybody can be surprised by anything that I'm doing, because I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and there are folks that don't like it, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody. Everybody's not for me. But if I were able to sleep a full night's sleep, I would sleep like a baby because my heart's in the right place. I make decisions based on that, and it's very well thought out. And I don't regret anything that I've done, anything that I said. I don't regret any move that we made. I don't regret anything that the board has done. I think we have a great board right now. I'm very proud of what we've done just since the last election. And here in a few months, this whole thing is going to look different. And I anticipate that it will be more of the same because it's that leadership style. My leadership style is I foster open communication and collaboration. I want their input. The gentlemen are up here now. Not one time have I ever shut them down and told them, can't say that. That's a personal attack, Jason. Michael, Zach, has that ever happened at one time that I ever shoot down your ideas? No, we talked through it. We may not agree on it, but then after this, we get up and we shake hands. We may go have a beer together afterwards because that's part of being an adult. You can disagree without being disagreeable. So that's what we bring different to this thing. We're bringing back the sanctity. The business is conducted in this chamber, and we conduct ourselves accordingly. Let's move on to the next one, please. This one shocked me. The Village of Salado property tax rate history. For 2018, which is fiscal year 2019, we were at 62 cents, 62.7 cents. I've made some notes. We reduced the tax rate in 5 years by 36.95%. And I've done some research, I've done some digging, and I can't find any rhyme or reason to it other than to say, we reduced your taxes, reelect us, bring us in here. During this time frame where we reduced our tax rate by 36, almost 30, let's call it 37%, the cost of materials for road construction had gone up 50%. So we dropped our tax rate by almost 37%, while everything else around us, prices are increasing. Post-COVID, all the logistical nightmare that came with all that and everything else that came with it, and supply and demand and the supply chain issues, and here we are. We're at, to go from that 62.7 cents down to 39.5 in 2022. That much of a reduction that quickly creates its own set of unique problems. Lowering property tax rates significantly over a short period of time without additional revenue streams can pose several risks to local communities. It's key on that. Reducing it significantly over a short period without additional revenue streams. There's nothing to subsidize this money that we've taken away, and for what reason? I can't find out why. Because I know that during those, I've looked, during those years, did your roads get fixed? Did your potholes get fixed? When you were at 62 cents, did your potholes get fixed? Where was the anger then? Because I said I was going to fix your potholes. Joe Oliver, what did you and I do this past Friday? We got out and we fixed some potholes. What are we going to do this Sunday coming up? We're going to get out and we're going to fix some potholes. And I have another crew that's going to line up and they're going to go do it with us. Because I said I was going to do it. Whether I have to do it myself or not, it's going to get done. We did have contractors lined up that we had spoken to had multiple bids from different companies that came in, and we even had a couple of tests. They did a test to see how they did it. Was it going to hold up? And we had one selected that had great pricing. Their pricing was competitive. They had great track record, great reviews. We were ready to do it. And then once we got, we knew this petition was kind of looming. We made this decision before the petition was ever really filed. We just knew that it was a possibility. I said, then we're just going to pump the brakes. And we're going to wait. But we're going to do what we can. Somebody was gracious enough to donate around 85-gallon buckets of some material that is supposed to be, they say it's the best on the market for repairing potholes. We'll see. Joe and I did a few, and it's held up. Smith Branch, there's 3 big ones on there that we did last Friday, myself and Joe and Donald Hogue, and they still look good. I'm hoping that we're going to get a lot more done this next weekend coming up. Number one, the issues with reducing your property, your taxes that significantly in a short amount of time. Reduce public services. If you start bringing that kind of money down that quickly, then how are you going to pay for your community is growing, and then you drop your tax rate. Well, how are you going to pay to fix your roads? Or now we're talking about public service. Have the police officers that you need. Now, especially now that we're all the way out 2843. We got Mustang Springs. We have some other things that are coming in. We just annexed in the Holiday Inn Express, and I imagine here pretty soon, Days Inn will be very quick to follow suit. And we'll talk about a little bit more of that here moving forward later too. The significant reduction in revenue can lead to cuts in services for PD and things of that nature. With this conversation that's going on right now, I got a meeting set up, I think next week with the police, with the chief and his staff, and we're gonna talk about some of these things. PD, they're a little nervous, and I hate that for them because I am a very avid supporter of law enforcement. I've been very clear about that from the beginning, and they're concerned for their jobs. And my words to Chief, and I said, Chief, I need to come talk to your folks. I don't mind doing that. And Manny can attest to this, and Gina and the guys on the board. From day one, I have said, PD's budget, as far as I'm concerned, is off limits. Those guys need what they need. They need the equipment that they need. We need the people that we have, because we are growing, whether we like it or not. It's coming. And if we take any further steps back on our staff for PD, we're already behind the curve, and we need to wrap up and get ready for what's coming. We have some big developments coming to the south of us that are going to be, it's going to create some issues for us rather quickly with that Solano Ranch stuff that's going in. That's 14,000 new homes. Do the math at 2.7 people per household, and then 2 cars, maybe 3 cars per household. That's a lot more traffic. It's also an opportunity to meet a lot more friends. That's the way I look at it. But they're going to have some impact on our roads. But it's also going to bring us some tax revenue too. So welcome them in. We're not going to stop them. Complaining about it's not going to stop them. Do the Christian thing and open your arms to them and love them like your neighbor, because they are your neighbors. Infrastructure deterioration, reducing funding for road maintenance and other infrastructure projects can lead to deteriorating conditions, which we're all very well aware of, increasing long-term repair costs and potentially hindering economic growth. The projects that we've talked about, West Village Road, for example, we talked about that. I think it was a $5.5 million grant from Congressman Carter's office. That project is upwards of $9 million now. This thing started back in 2021, so prices have gone up that much that this thing went from being a $5 or $6 million project to over $9 million. So now we're stuck with how do we pay for that? We got to pay that up front, and then give them once we pay it, and then we get our reimbursement. That's how that works. Same thing with textiles. We got to pay it up front, and then we get our reimbursement. And we'll talk about some of that here in a little bit. Increased fees and charges to compensate for the loss of property tax revenue. There are times that we may have to increase fees for services, waste collection. That Al Clausen does business here, Eagle Disposal, that kind of thing. We talked about it, I think it was last year when I was in Albany, about increasing those fees for those folks to be able to operate and do business in the village. And the board voted no, because that all it is just another de facto tax increase. They're just going to pass that increase, whatever we charge, whatever we increase their fees to, they're going to pass it on to the consumer, and that's just more that the consumer has to pay. So I'm not really a big fan of that. Uncertainty and instability, rapid changes that creates uncertainty for residents and businesses, and could potentially deter investment and economic development. All this, approaching these and lowering tax rates at that level that they did, it really requires a lot of careful planning, consideration, and thinking through more than you really got to think further than the end of your nose, because this doesn't appear that happened. This was just tax breaks. Cut your tax rate just for the sake of cutting taxes, because you got nothing at 62 cents. You got nothing at 57 cents all the way down. Now we're trying to do what we said we were going to do, and now we're being held up. Okay, next one. Growing needs require stable revenue, population growth, increasing demand for services, quality of life. Residents expect well-maintained infrastructure. You expect it, you haven't gotten it in years. And the only new thing we have with the park is this new playground that we have. We like to do some more things to it. We like to even improve upon Pace Park as it currently sits. There are certainly some opportunities for improvement, and there are some safety measures out there. But right now, it's And it's not in the budget to do that. Business attraction companies need reliable utilities and community investments. And that's from I'm sorry, back up a little bit. That's from the Village of Salado Comprehensive Citizen Engagement Feedback. So there was a survey conducted from October 10th of 24 to November 1st of 2024. Whose survey was that? Who requested that? Okay, yeah. So the Planning and Zoning Committee will work, or Commission, working on the comprehensive plan. They put out a survey, and we're going to go through some of those here and discuss what some of the feedback was. 60% of the respondents lived within the Village of Salado limits, and 40% lived outside. They were, I guess, within the ETJ. What do you value most about living in our city? And these are just kind of the top answers. Small town feel, walkability and safety, casual living, charm, great school district, quiet, low traffic, historical and downtown area, and the ones that were mentioned heavily was small town feel, walkability, safety, charm, and it's quiet. Top 3 priorities for the city's development over the next 10 years: commercial growth that increases tax base, road repairs and maintenance, water, expand green space, and recreation. Generate non-property tax revenues to maintain and upgrade infrastructure. I think that's supposed to be generate non-residential property tax revenues to maintain and upgrade infrastructure. Economic development plan, and bring more events and the Scottish Games back to Pace Park. And again, highlighted HEB. That was being highlighted. That indicates that there were multiple people that keyed in on that, and they asked for an HEB. The thing about the comment about the commercial growth, and there was such an overwhelming response that was saying we need commercial growth. I was actually very pleased to see that, because there are some that don't believe that should happen. We have suppressed commercial growth for long enough. It's time to do it. It's time to do it responsibly. We've had conversations. We're in conversations now with some folks on some commercial growth, and we're not just letting them come in here willy-nilly. The question was asked, I'll use McDonald's for example, well, how come we didn't have to approve any of this? Because it's already zoned for that. They did everything like they were supposed to. They turned everything in, and they're in compliance. They bought the property. They can do what they want with it. We didn't need to approve it. Again, I'm not one for creating governance where governance doesn't need to be in there. We don't need to put our foot in everything that goes on around here. If it's something that they're out of compliance, then certainly we step in. It's just, I've heard all this about the small town feel and the charm and the historic charm of Main Street, and there's rumors out there that I don't care about the historic, and that's just, there's simply no truth to any of that. First 3 weeks in office, Manny, somebody comes in and we get a phone call about a sign that somebody put out: smoke shop coming soon on Main Street. Did everybody see that? Big, bright sign. You couldn't miss it. Yellow, red letters. I got 50 phone calls in about 5 minutes. And I called Manny and said, get them in here. Let's have a conversation. And basically my message to them was, there's no way in hell that's happening. We are not putting a smoke shop on Main Street. This group will hang me from the lamppost. We're not doing it. And I said, and it's not zoned for that. You guys were made aware of that in the beginning before you purchased the property, so think it's something else. And it went on for a little while, and then kind of towards the end, they just were not understanding why we're not going to have a smoke shop on Main Street. So I had to say it a little more once. I'll leave it at that. And then that was the end of the conversation. What type of housing options do you believe are most needed? Neighborhoods with well-connected streets, so apartments, senior living, no tract homes, luxury homes, master plan communities like Georgetown and Liberty Hill, limited lower income housing, no more residential growth, homes with bigger lots. So you kind of hear both sides of this. We don't want to be like Georgetown. We don't want to be like Carroll. We don't want to be, and I don't want to be like that either. But a majority of these people who responded to this survey, this is what they said. They want commercial development. They want these planned communities like you will find in Georgetown and situations like that. Kind of like what's happening over here with Salado Ranch. How important are green spaces and recreational areas to you? Especially important. Walking trails throughout the village. More parks. Utilize the space at Pace Park by the creek, and recreational programs and a center for all ages. Biggest concerns regarding city's infrastructure is allowing more neighborhood development will destroy the charm of our city. Water supply, road repairs, road improvement, and widening, developing or expanding wastewater, not budgeting and investing in the city's infrastructure and maintenance, pedestrian safety, parking, and every comment on that particular question, there was roads were mentioned in every answer to that specific question. Additional remarks on the future of Salado: keep our community in a high-income area, expand commercial businesses, upgrade our water system, figure out a way to annex property into the village to help with property taxes, offer more shopping and sit-down restaurants, maintain charm, safety, and small, friendly town environment, keep our city safe and compliant, and focus on economic development. Let's talk about the maintain our charm and the small, friendly town environment. I don't care what community you go to. It's not the buildings that creates the charm and that small town feel. It's not how many bars you have in town or whatever. It's the people that are in it and how they treat visitors and how they treat one another. That is that small town feel. When I walk, if I go into somewhere and I have a great experience with, I'll say a restaurant, and their staff is amazing. I remember that more than I do my experience with the restaurant as a whole. If I go visit a community and somebody kind of opens their arms to me and they tell me about the community, I remember that conversation more than I do what I actually found there in that city, wherever it may be. Treat each other and visitors with kindness. We talk about it in the invocations. We talk about it in Sunday school. We talk about it in church. Is to love your neighbor the way that Christ loved them. They're our neighbors. They're coming in here to visit. Why are we treating them like garbage and like they don't belong here? So we need them here, and to bring them here, we need commercial development. Okay, go on to the next one. Long-term risk, infrastructure, rising maintenance, backlogs, and costs. We just talked about it. It went from $5 or $6 million to $9 million in about 4 years. A diminished ability to attract new businesses, higher out-of-pocket costs for residents, town character, gradual erosion of the area's historic charm and appeal due to insufficient funding for maintenance and preservation, and a declining sense of pride and identity among residents as the city's vibrancy fades. More success stories. We just annexed the Holiday Inn into the village this way. We did that on December the 30th. That move right there is going to add another $25,000 to $30,000 in property taxes to the village. Remember, for every 1 cent, 38,000. We've almost reached 1 cent just by bringing them in there. The holiday extension of sewer by developer at no cost to the village of Salado. Impact fees will be collected and paid to the village of Salado. We had a conversation with the owners at the Holiday Inn Express. No conversations about waived impact fees. They want to come into the village, and they've been trying to for years, and it was made difficult for them to do so. And we told them, "You want to come?" Manny had the conversation with them. "You want to come? Come now." "Well, we want to wait till we get sewer." "No, if you want to annex now, you're never going to get sewer to you." And they said, "Okay, let's do it." Dave's in right behind them. I think I'm Dorothy. She's with the Dave's in management team there. So we're excited about that. The HOP. What does that stand for? I can't think of the acronym. What? No, HOP. Just that the transit. Yeah. So the microtransit transportation service launches in March/April. Again, no cost to the village of Salado. We joined the regional partnership of the Central Texas Water Alliance to help secure water rights for Salado's futures, and we now have representation on the Central Texas Council of Governments Executive Committee, the Killeen Temple Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee, and the Bell County Public Health District. I sit on all 3 of those boards. We now have voting seats at all 3 of those boards that I just mentioned. Previously, we didn't do that. We had, I'm just going to speak to K-Tempo. In 3 years, there was representation from the village in 3 years. And these meetings happen every month. We made 5 meetings in 3 years. We had a seat at the table. Why don't we just pull up a chair and have a bite? We do now, and we're there, and we have a voting seat. A couple more things I want to talk about. some of the things that we've determined, talked about earlier on with this investigation. So we're seeing that this is not a situation of embezzlement. Nobody stole anything. I want to make that clear. It's not something we've ever implied or even hinted to. Actually, we said in the beginning we don't feel that it's that. And now that's been determined. But the problem has been over the past couple of years, and we're still digging into some of this, is that there was no debt issued for things that were happening in the village. We had Center Circle that was done, Salado, School Road. Trying to think of some of the other projects that took place down there that were $200,000 or $300,000 each. And yeah. So all those things, instead of issuing debt for any of those things, they just wrote checks. It's almost like a teenager that gets their first check. As long as I have checks, I got money. And just write. And all that's documented. It's verified. You can see that they exceeded those budgets consistently on those projects, and it just continued to just put. QT, for example, it was in a development agreement. They're supposed to put in electric vehicle charging systems. They didn't do it because they had, I guess, the money that they had allotted for that. It wasn't enough to do what they wanted to do. So, in lieu of putting them in, they wanted to give us the $20,000 or $25,000. And we asked the question, what is the money going to be used for? And the response was, well, it's going to go towards the all ability playground. At that point, we weren't aware there was any more added cost for the all ability playground. We thought we were where we needed to be. And all of a sudden, this additional $25,000 comes up, and it's just a coincidence that the exact amount of money that we need is what they're going to give us for not putting in charging stations there. So I'm not saying anything except for use your own deductive reasoning with that one. When a municipality with a limited budget opts to pay cash for capital improvement projects instead of issuing debt, several potential risks and consequences can arise. Depleted reserves. Obviously, you continue to write checks and reserves. That's just your checking account. Money's going out much faster than it can come in. And what we've seen, some things that are happening, we noticed that there were quite a bit of late payments on a lot of things that we had money on. PD vehicles, their body cameras, things that they need, tires for the vehicles. The bills weren't being paid on time. And then we kind of found the pattern. It was one of two things. What they call check kiting, floating checks, writing checks, hoping that, well, fingers crossed this thing doesn't clear before this other money hits the account. Those kind of things happen. Or I know that we have this much money coming in, or they projected to come in, and as we talked about during the budget process, we were questioning about why did y'all shoot your budget so low? Why did you forecast so low? We didn't forecast low. We forecasted based on historical data. I don't know what was being looked at before. I don't know what kind of data they were using before. They were way over forecasting what their revenues were going to be, and it came back to bite them. It came back to bite me. It came back to bite these guys. It came back to bite him, and ultimately everybody in this room. Reduced flexibility, paying cash limits to municipalities' financial flexibility, and may restrict the ability to fund other important projects or respond to unexpected financial needs. Delayed projects without the ability to spread costs over time through debt. We could delay or we have to scale back, which is what we're having to do now for other necessary projects due to insufficient funds. And opportunity costs. Allocating cash to capital projects means that those funds are not available for other investments or services that could benefit the community. It could have a negative impact on your services. Limited budgets might force the municipality to cut back on essential services to free up cash for capital projects. Higher immediate costs. Paying cash requires the full amount up front, which can be challenging for municipalities with limited budgets. Issuing debt allows for spreading the cost over time, making it more manageable. I think that's all I've got on that. And before I open it up for questions, I'm just going to make a couple of side remarks, and some of which are not going to be popular, but that's okay. Y'all know me well enough to know by now that I am me unapologetically. I'm not going to whitewash it. I'm going to give it to you direct, and that's what I'm about to do. we had people come up here during the discussion about the budget and says, we didn't do this. We as the taxpayers, we as the voters, we did not create this problem. Why are we being held responsible to fix this problem? Back in I wasn't even on the board until 2024, 23. So going back to 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, I can't speak to any of that. Except I was an elected official, I was a taxpayer, I was a voter. I got to take responsibility too. People say, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a voter. That's not, I didn't do that. I didn't create that problem. I 100% created that problem, as did every voter in this room and every voter outside of here who allowed this nonsense to continue and continued to vote the same people in the office time and time and time and time again. So what I would recommend and what I encourage you to do, are you mad? Because I'm mad. But there was a time where I was mad and I decided to do something about it. I ran for alderman because I was mad that I could not get information out of City Hall. We all know that we walk through that door and you ask a question, you're going to get, you walk in there 5 times, you'll get 5 different answers to the same question, and 4 of those were just a blatant lie. And I'm just going to call it what it is, and I can prove it. I was mad. So what did I decide to do? Take action. And I thought the only way for me to fix this, instead of armchair quarterbacking this thing, is to run for office, get elected, and have a seat. And I did. And then the same thing with mayor. I was mad. I wanted some changes. The only way for me to change this is to put myself in that seat. I didn't put myself in that seat. The voters did that. But we all collectively voted the same people in the office time and time and time again and listened to their rhetoric and listened to their nonsense, and because they were friends or neighbors or went to the same church or had breakfast together on Saturdays or whatever. Why are we doing that? And now everyone wants to come at me and at this board. We didn't create this problem, except that we are also voters. We did. We're trying to fix it. You elected us to do this. You elected us to do the things that we're doing. It's not easy. We put ourselves out there. So if you want to make a difference, get mad. And I'll give you a packet right now. It's right there on Deborah Bean's desk. And file your paperwork Monday and run for alderman. There's 3 seats open. You want to fix it. You want to see some change. Let's start affecting some change. And you can't do it if you don't get no seats. Or alternatively, go ahead. Alternatively, a lot of people, and I'm not saying anything negative about anybody in here. A lot of people that I see in here, I don't see you at Board of Alderman meetings. Where are you then? How are you going to get educated on what's happening around here other than what you see on social media? My phone number is out there everywhere. If you don't have my number, you know somebody who has my phone number. Pick up the phone and call. I answer the phone. Hudson, when you call me, do I answer the phone? Scott, we've had conversations. Answer the phone. Mick, yeah, all across the board. Ms. Reynolds, do we have conversations? Darlene, if she's here. Or that. And most of the time, the message is this long, and she says, don't worry about responding. I just wanted to tell you this. And it takes me 3 days to read it, and then I forgot to respond. Darlene, she calls me. Darlene, do I answer the phone when you call me? Yes. Tim Fleischer calls me. I answer the phone. That's who I am. My wife is like, it's 11:30 at night. You're going to answer that? Yeah, I sure am, without fail. And if I'm already asleep, I'll get up and go in another room and have that conversation. I didn't do this for me. I really enjoy my free time. I did this for my community. I did this because since we moved here in 2012, this community really embraced my family, and I wanted to give back to this community and have been since 2014. But I'll be damned, every turn I make, and I want to do something better and bigger for this community, it is met with resistance, and I just don't understand it. I really don't. My intentions are pure. I'm very transparent in everything that I'm doing. You know exactly where you stand with me because I'll tell you. If Bobby calls me and says, "Bird, are you mad at me about something?" If I'm mad, I'll tell him. But the truth is, he'll know before he makes that phone call because I will have already told him. And that's the conversation I've had and Gina. Everyone knows where they stand with me. Let's have conversations. We can disagree without being disagreeable. And I don't expect you to agree with everything that I'm doing. But, and to say that I don't engage with citizens and I don't talk to people, that's complete nonsense. I am all over this town every day. I walk in the Brookshire. I can't walk in the Brookshire for bread. I go in there and I'm there for 45, and that's on aisle 1. 45 minutes later, Crystal's like, how many people stopped you? 10. because they want to talk. I stop and I have those conversations because that's what I love to do. I love this community. I really am putting my best foot forward, and I think that I'm doing it with the best of intentions, regardless of the white noise out there. And that's what it is. It's all just, to me, it's static. I don't listen to it. I'm very focused on what I have to do. I'm a very driven person for people that don't know me. I can at times be very intense too. But for the most part, I stop and listen to what people have to say. And I don't always have all the answers, but I surround myself with some pretty smart people. And I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to advice. So if if you think that you have a solution to what we have going on here, I'm open to a conversation. There's some people that are not comfortable getting up there and having these kind of conversations, and I get that. They're not comfortable putting themselves out there in the public limelight, and I get that. But you have the ability to reach out to yourself or the other elected officials and ask those questions and get the truth straight from the horse's mouth. I have no reason to lie to you because you're going to see me somewhere. Why would I lie to you and didn't have to figure out how I can avoid that awkward conversation that's about to happen? I just don't do it. That's not how I operate. So that's all I have for that. I'm sure I'll think of some more here in a couple of minutes, but let's open it up for answers or questions. Let's talk about it. Yes, ma'am. 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're working. Chief, can I speak to this? The kind of what the hours are, your shifts, without releasing any other information. Typically, you got a shift that comes in 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you have a 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift that gives them that sort of an overlap, so that when that 6 o'clock person leaves, and then the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., everybody is not. You're only working by yourself for just a number of hours before your relief comes in. So look, that's something that the chief was very adamant about when he first came on, that he wanted 24/7 coverage, and we've achieved that. And I really don't want to go back because it's been great. We do have a great group of officers, and I think that they're out there doing the Lord's work. And they're out there, keeping an eye on us. And there's a lot of things that happen. In my capacity as mayor, I'm also the emergency management director. I get briefs from chief all the time about things that have happened. I got a phone call from Judge Coleman yesterday about something that happened. It wasn't even in the village, but it was just kind of heads up that it may affect us. It didn't, thankfully. But it's I get those notifications, and I see the things that they deal with on a daily basis. Some of it is just the day-to-day stuff that you would expect from a police department. Other days, not so easy. I mean, everybody, I'm sure in this room is aware of what happened this past Tuesday, or this Tuesday, last, and we didn't expect that. Every day's different. Every day's different for our staff, and I'm not really going to say. I won't say anything else about that, other than it's something that unfortunately they have to deal with, and they're great. They handled themselves like very professional, and gave that scene the respect that it deserved 100%. So, Chief, I'm very appreciative of that. Sergeant Duncy, I appreciate your leadership on that. Does that answer your question, Ms. Sands? Okay. All right. Next. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on up here.
My name's Larry Michaels. I've been coming to these board meetings about 2 years, and I've seen the regime prior to this group and about half and half. And the difference is night and day. You can't imagine the treatment that I got personally from the previous administration was appalling. I got shut down and was not allowed to speak at meetings, and I had questions and concerns about what they were doing, and it just didn't make sense. I think you all ought to be grateful if you have a mayor that is committed to this village life. It's rare that you find a politician that's committed to these guys and a board that supports them. And man, I can have a conversation with any people anytime. And sometimes they think I'm screaming stuff. That's okay. One thing you did not touch on tonight, Bert, Mustang Spring. And status. Okay. All right. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, who's next? Um, I've made this statement before. I'll make it again. I am not interested in conspiracy theories. I'm interested in facts. The fact is there is a separate account for development funds. I don't know where you're not seeing that. It's there. And what was the other part of it? About 8 months. That wasn't the accountant's issue. That it was our auditor, and we're taking care of that. That's part of the investigation. That's all I can say about the fall. It's $1.2 million. The additional is escrow money that's not attached to what was in the budget. So we're discussing those. I understand that, but Chief Fields is right there, and he's waving to me. That's all I can say to it. It's an active investigation. But that's all I can say to it. This is not going to be a quick thing. And I know everybody wants answers. I want answers quickly, but it's just unfortunately you're talking about going back 7 years. The forensic auditor and from the state, they're involved in this. It's going to take years. This is not. It took years to unravel this thing. It's going to take years to kind of put it. It's like getting out of the shredder, trying to put the pieces together, trying to figure out what happened. Who else? Come on up. I appreciate that. And what we're doing moving forward to eliminate some of that, one, we're looking at other revenue streams because nobody wants to pay property taxes. Looking at other revenue streams, we went back and looked at, we talked about Letitia earlier with the permit clerk. There were things, wastewater impact fees, for example. People were being charged $5,000 when in reality it should have been a $35,000 charge. Just not paying attention to what's going on and not really taking a look at it. But it was a training issue because everything prior to Mr. De La Rosa's arrival here funneled through one individual, and there was nothing. People were not taught how to do their job. They are empowered to do their jobs. Again, I implore you come in here and have conversations with these ladies in here. It is a different culture walking into here than it was a year ago, 6 months ago. You see Paul over there taking nod his head. Am I correct, Paul? These ladies will speak to you before you walk in. They put their head down. They wouldn't speak to us. Yeah, and they're and they're great at what they're doing. And Gina, she came in here as our city planner. She's having conversations with these developers, and she's got the soft skills to bat her eyes when she needs to, and then whenever they decide that they're not really on board with what it is that we want them to do, she's also hard enough to tell them, no, we're not doing that. And for that, I appreciate you, Jim. I really do. What else? Was there more to that question? No. 12 months. As far back as we can go. That's for Manny. Y'all give Manny a hand, Gina a hand. They're the ones, and Jennifer, she's here. They all day, every day. You know, and I'm explaining a little bit about what Jennifer does for us. She's she's part time here, which is at her. That's what she wants to do. That's how she likes it. She's our. I joked about it yesterday. She's our ways and means officer. If we need something and we need to find the best price or whatever, she finds it. And then Manny said, "Oh, she's procurement." So she does a lot for us. Letitia does a lot for us. She's not only with the permits clerk but also the court clerk. So when Judge Coleman's here on Tuesdays, normally leaving his stuff behind on my desk up there, his pens and that kind of thing. She's the one that handles all that. She's the one that takes care of all that for him. And she's constantly learning, and she's bringing in alternate sources of revenue. And she's charging appropriately, doing what the days of hey, somebody's here for a permit. Well, who is it? So it's okay, $100. Give it to them for $100. So they get the permit for $100, and when it's done, and we get ready to go send Bureau Veritas or whoever over there to go do their inspection, that inspection costs us $200. We're out $100 on every. I'm just using that as to keep the math simple. We're out $100 on every transaction. We have been subsidizing these developments and these developers for years. And we can show a pattern of that, and we can show now, too, where we're doing it correctly. Wastewater treatment plant, where we at? I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we're in the black right now. How often have we seen that? Wastewater treatment plant is operating in the black. So I didn't do that. He did that. Gina did that. So the rumor or whatever it is out in town about there's no services in the village of Salado, tell them that. We're in the black now with the wastewater treatment plant because of the non-services that we have in the building, because of the people that are here. Come talk to them, ask them what they're doing there. They'll be glad to speak about it. My heart goes out to them because I know they see this stuff on Facebook. I hate it for them. They shouldn't be. I mean, I signed up for this. These guys signed up for this. We're elected officials. We can expect a certain amount of scrutiny. They don't deserve it. They're doing their job, and they're doing it very well, and they're exceeding my expectations for sure. I'm not going to speak for many, but they're doing a great job, and every day. I get these emails from Annie, I get emails from Dina, and let me know what's going on. I pop in here, how you doing? Check on the ladies and make sure that's the difference. I come through here and we speak to them. I have a genuine care and concern for everybody in this building and everybody in that building next door, and that's not going to stop. I'll defend them to the end. They do a great job, and we would not be in the position that we're in today if it weren't for them. We are in a much better position than we were a year ago. Next, yes, ma'am. We appreciate that, but that's not necessary. Yeah. Paul, did you have something? Okay. So the example I have written down right now is a home that's valued at $500,000, just to kind of keep it simple. If you break it down by month, it's an additional $52 a month. That's you and Shirley can't go to Johnny's and eat together one night for $52. Yeah, that you got a Groupon. Can we all go? Is it got a Groupon? 52 dollars a month is what if your property is appraised at $500,000. $52 a month. That's how much. What do we got internet? My internet bill is, we pay it. We put it on auto pay. Those that have, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but we know that there's a certain internet company around here that doesn't really work half the time. And I spoke to this during the conversations about the emergency services district. We all pay more than that every month for internet that doesn't even work half the time. And we put it on auto pay and never even think about it. So it's one of those things. The decision is up to the voters, and it's up to. But we're going to spend the next 4 months or 3 months now. I'm going to hold another one the second Thursday in February, March, and April. And it's all just it's an educational deal. Here's the conversation. I didn't, if I offended anybody up here about anything that I said, that was not my intent. I'm just very direct. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. I can't coddle everybody. I don't expect to be coddled. Lord knows I'm not coddled. I walk around with a cart, but I signed up for it. It's okay. I'm all right. I don't let it bother me. It, I am, maybe it's misguided optimism, but I'm optimistic that with conversations we've had, um, I'm hoping that we can do more than 2 cents, but if that's all we can do, it's all we can do. Here's kind of the relationship that Manny and I have. Manny's here as an advisor to me and to this board. I can't think of a single time that Manny and I have had a conversation and he told me, Mayor, this is what we have to do. Or I said, Manny, can we do this? And he said, no, you can't do this. It's because of this. I don't buck him because he backs it up. He backs it up with, here's an email from our attorney who said this. Here's an email, from there, and this is what the statute says. Okay, it's good enough for me. I'm not here to argue that case. And I put that in him because he's proven himself. I don't even have to ask for the documentation. He'll send the information to me with a snippet of the statute. Then I know it's on point. And up to this point, nothing that he's told me has been wrong. That's not true. There's been things that he's been mistaken about, but he came back and told me, hey, that was wrong. I told you that was wrong. So, we got, who was that? Paul, go ahead. And that's unfortunate. And I'm aware that they're not experts, and we do have to rely on them. But we looked at, and we were all part of the conversation. Paul up here at the board, Jason was there as well, where the conversation was had about giving an individual a pay increase from $125,000 to $187,000. That was the previous mayor's budget. That was his proposed budget was to increase his salary from $125,000 to $187,000. And our question was, for what? What did he do that would warrant that sort of a pay increase? Then it was, well, where are his performance appraisals? Where are his evaluations? Do them every month. Where are they? They're oral. We do them face to face. There's no documentation to support any of that. And I think that we were just, again, some of the information that we were presented with was not accurate. And we know that now. And the part of, well, I'm not going to talk about anything. I'm not supposed to. I'm gonna leave that part alone. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that part alone. Sorry, Chief. Then it's no longer your problem, right? Mr. Lasser, did you have a question? Sure. Thank you. I'll try to answer this in a way that's not going to interfere with anything. I think the, and Mr. Lester, I apologize. I cannot speak in detail about any of that. The chief's got his hand on his gun, and I don't know what he's going to do. And I wish I could say more to that. I really do, because I don't like that answer. I would love to be able to just put it out there on a billboard somewhere and tell everybody, but we can't do that right now. Who else? This stack. And we're not, if it happens that the voters vote against that proposition, we're not going to go shopping like if we're some kid in a toy store. Like, yeah, sure, yeah. We're gonna look at some things, and we're gonna look to see what, because now that we've kind of cut down on some of these services, and we'll look and see, because actually it'll be kind of a test phase for us to say, okay, what can we live without? What can we do in house? And again, the point to the accounting. In an ideal world, and pretty much anywhere that Mr. De La Rosa has been employed, he's had an in-house accountant, and you could see accounting data in real time. You make a phone call and you get your accountant in there, and you got it. Now it's contract gets out. We're a small village. We don't have and we look at it as we were looking at building this budget that we're currently on, to see would it be more cost effective to not outsource this and have this individual here, and we can't afford to pay him as a full-time accountant. So in a perfect world, that would be the situation. And we would have them right here, and it's as easy as walking across next door to another office and having that conversation. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Fleischer, how many conversations have you and I had about the budget that you did up? No. Tim. How many times have we sat down and visited about? Okay. So I am listening to Tim. We do have those conversations. We have a very open line of communication, very respectful back and forth. He doesn't always agree with me. I don't always agree with him, but at the end of the day, we shake hands and walk away, and we live to fight the next day. Does that answer your question? Like, we have discussed it in detail. Once a month. The second meeting of the month is when we get the financial statements out. But if you go on to the village website, go under the financial services, you're gonna find a copy of all the reconciled financial statements. Those are reconciled every month. So the numbers that are there are numbers. So we're really drilling down on that, and even down to when it comes time. I think twice a week I come in here and sit down with Manny, and we sign checks. And sit down. He has the invoices attached to the check, and if there's one that I have a question about, I move it aside, go through it. But I look at the check, who it's to, look at the invoice, see what it goes to, and if it's to our engineer's office, if it's to Bickerstaff, which is our legal team. Bureau Veritas, whoever it may be, people that we outsource to. My question to him without fail is, are we going to be able to invoice the developer for this? Are we going to be able to invoice the builder for this, or invoice whoever for this phone call to the attorney? So anything that we're not, if we can not have to pay for it, we're flipping right around and giving it to somebody else to pay for. But so that we don't have to pay a lot of it up front, we are bringing in escrow agreements. People, you want to come in here? Okay, well, we're going to need this much money up front because you're going to have inspection fees, you're going to have attorney fees, you're going to have somebody do a plat review, all the things, and we're getting money up front, and we take it out of that kitty. And as they start to dwindle down, I think Gina does it, sends a friendly reminder, you need some more money, and we're not paying for it when they are. There's a huge difference in the way things were done then and what we're doing now. We're not paying for it. We're not paying these people to come here. They want to, and the ones that we're in communications with, and I can't really speak to it just because we're kind of in negotiation right now, but these folks are wanting to come in here and, one of them, they may have to expand the wastewater treatment plant. And they're willing to pay to expand the wastewater treatment plant. Never even asked us. It was never even something, hey, will you guys consider waiving our impact fee so that we can put money towards expanding this wastewater treatment plant should we need it? Never even a question. They just did it. And which was something that Manny and I talked about very early on when I was first elected mayor. Election day was on Saturday. By Monday, I had 4 or 5 developers and builders want to have a conversation with me, want to meet the new mayor. No agenda, just see what his expectations are. And across the board, the expectation was, if you want to come here, without waiving any fees, you can pay to come here. If you don't like it, hit that door and tell the guy waiting in the parking lot to come on in and we'll have a conversation. The ones that we're talking to, they're putting up the money. And those are the developers that we want because we know if you got the money to do that, you have the money to build a quality product. And that's what we want. We talked about what that survey was that the P&Z requested. And in that survey, they said that they wanted they said higher end homes, but and some options in there for some lower income homes too, and that kind of thing. But you get those developers that come in there that have the money to put up that kind of capital, do that kind of stuff. They've got money, and they're going to build you a great product, and they're going to be around for a while. So we welcome those to come in here, and we're trying to keep them keep Main Street Main Street again, regardless of what the rumors are. I'm here to keep Main Street Main Street, period. But I'm not looking to put anything in there that's going to change the dynamic of that or change the way it looks in any way. The things that we've done and the Planning and Zoning Commission has signed off on it. I think we just changed the sign ordinance. We did it for 1859 with some of these sign ordinances and looking to see what beautifies the area. And the signs that were up 1859. Mr. Turnbull, have you seen that sign? Like, that's a beautiful sign, and it really does a lot to bring out the texture of that building. I sound like you got me watching too many home improvement shows. The texture of that building, and the shadows on the rocks, blah 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 blah. It added to the facade of that whole building. It looked great, and we want to see more of that, and less government. We don't have to hammer down on every single thing that happens. Like, okay, go do your thing. That's kind of my take on it. Responsible, of course. Who else? Yes, sir. Flip a coin. Or wrestle each other for, come on, I'm just kidding.
I apologize that my voice is not very good. 34 years in the fire department made it that way. One of the things that Bert has been pointing out, I appreciate Jason Graham talking about looking back, he wished he hadn't done some of these things. This corruption that's been going on in our city government has gone on for 15 or 20 years. I built 5 houses in this town starting in 2009. I had to get an attorney with the mayor on the phone and the city manager on the phone all 5 times. The last 3 were with the last mayor and last city manager to get a building permit issued after 9 months. Others, their friends, get what they want. So when the mayor was a while ago saying we ought to be treating each other as Christians, that's true. We ought to be showing respect. As he was leaving, our planning and zoning, director, whatever he is, on one of these boards, was pretty snarly with me and tried to intimidate me. These people are not going to intimidate me. They are not. They have tried intimidating the mayor, Manny, and others. We're not going to be, none of us are scared of the intimidation. What y'all need to know though is people that have gone to church with my son and his wife, the mayor, the former mayor, went out of his way to keep them from building 3 houses for a long time, moved the sewer line and all. It costs thousands of dollars. They aren't interested in doing the right thing before now. It's happening now. That's the reason the whole community ought to be behind it. The Facebook page the other day was talking about do not forget the Holocaust. The same guy that put that on degraded all of these guys that served anywhere from 27 months to 5 years in combat zones. He did. They did. They deserve our respect. The classlessness with the way it's been treated up until now is just unbelievable. All it would have taken for the last 2 years was me standing up here saying we need to get rid of the city manager because he's corrupt. That didn't happen. There were 2 votes here. All they needed was 1 more. There was a blind voting with the former mayor, and I feel bad for the guys that voted with him and now regret it, but that's the truth. We keep electing those people. We have a planning and zoning commission that did everything they could to keep us from building houses. We've had husband and wife teams on that. That's not spreading out government. That is all that is putting your thumb on what you want to have done and forcing people out. I've absolutely had people on that committee tell me they'll never build a McDonald's here. That's corruption. It's not government, it's corruption. And until we stand up, it's just like this money. What I don't think people in this town realize until today, half of that money goes back to the developer of the sanctuary. Folks, he has a nonprofit on the frontage road outside of town. It has millions of dollars in it. He puts on his website that he's using Billy Graham as a mentor. Would Billy Graham write, when you have a written contract that we're choked into, would Billy Graham have done that? Would the Lord done that? I'm not going to preach at you like it's Sunday afternoon, but I want you to know that's a corrupt thing going on, and it was voted on by a former mayor who was a former pastor in this town. We voted those people in, and we ignored people like myself who stood up here for years saying how corrupt it is. It's not something I want to do, but I'm not going to be intimidated, most especially by a planning and zoning member. He's about as classless as you can be. We keep going and back to that. When people treat these guys classless, they're not wanting to fix the problem. We got a problem, we got to man up and pay for it. But I'm tired of blaming others. We as voters need to all stand up. Everybody here ought to be standing up in arms over what they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? No, I saw somebody that. My pleasure. And I said that back in July, I believe, was when we had that last town hall meeting. And somebody asked a question. I know what they were doing. They were trolling me, trying to get me to say somebody's name so that somebody could file a lawsuit against me for defamation. But I'm a little smarter than the average bear, and I'm not going to let that happen. So my point was, the question was, if you had to say who's responsible. So statutorily, the mayor is the chief executive and the chief financial officer of the city. The buck stops with me. That's why they call it the mayor's budget. I didn't create that problem. I'll accept responsibility for it because, as far as I'm concerned, a good leader accepts more responsibility when things go bad and less credit when it goes good. And so anything good that's happened in this village since I've been in office, thank you, Manny. Thank you, Gina. Gentlemen, I appreciate everything that you've done. I can't take responsibility for that. I don't have the authority to do any of it. You're never going to hear me. I didn't do it. These guys did it. He did it. She did it. Jennifer did it. And whoever else I'm missing that is employed by the Village of Salado. I am extremely proud of everybody that works for the Village of Salado in this room, in this building. If there's anybody hiding in an office back there somewhere, and whoever our police officer is on duty right now, and the ones that are going to be here tomorrow, they take it on the chin. They know it's out there. They know the rhetoric's out there, and people are talking trash about them. Would you want to go to work every day knowing that people think that you're just, what does that person do? They don't do anything. What are we paying for? There you go. I want, and I don't know what I got to say to get this point across. I mean, I could be rude and make people mad. Get mad. I want you to get mad. I want you to be as mad as I was when I decided to run for it, and do something about it. Quit. I get called all the times with, well, there's a problem. The problem. Okay. You're an engineer. You own a construction company. You do this. What's your solution to that problem? Like, let's work together and let's put our heads together. Let's collaborate, because all of us collectively, and I mean all 2,394 people that live in the Village of Salado, estimated, so people don't want to, don't quote me on that, estimated. We are all smarter collectively than I am as an individual, than Alan Sandor is as an individual, or anybody else in this room. Hudson Kennedy's pretty smart, so I would have to I'd have to fact check that, but yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's just everybody working together. It gets so, and my wife can attest to this. I come home. There are days where I come home where it's just been, I just say it like it is. That's why I got my butt kicked. And I'll let you know a little secret. I don't get my butt kicked, but I walk in that door at night and I'm just mentally exhausted, because I know that in my heart of hearts, I really am doing the right thing, and I don't mean me, this team that we have here, and we're moving forward, and I'm just like, but I got to be reminded. I have people that are very close to me to say, remember, you got 5 or 10 people that show up that want to speak against you, but you got 500 out here that are saying, keep doing what you're doing. And pretty consistently across the board, anybody that I run into outside of these 4 walls, because the people that support me and support what these guys are doing, they don't show up here because they're like, we got it. Let them do this. I wish they would, because I like to hear people come in here and say some positive things, and I appreciate the comments tonight. I, for one, don't need validation. I'm not one that seeks validation. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm comfortable with who I am. I really don't concern myself with the opinions of others, because I know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm not saying I'm always right. If you can convince me otherwise, that that's dumb, maybe think about this. I may think about it, say, you know what, you're right, and I'll change it, or go a different direction. Or if I think it might be a better idea, we'll test it, and if it doesn't work, then we go back to the way that we were going to do it anyway. But what we're not doing is the way that things. Let's all say it together. That's the way it's always been done. We're not doing that anymore. Yes, sir. Have we limited duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission? Tell me. Tell me. Be careful. That ordinance didn't pass. That ordinance did not pass. So are you sure that we did that? No, sir. Okay. We didn't. Okay, can I answer the question now? That ordinance was written by our attorney, who is very familiar with municipal governments. That's what he does. I don't know what kind of law you practice. He practices that sort of law. Is that true? Do your research, Charles. Do your research, Charles. Okay. Okay. Do I not? Have you been asleep this whole time? I just said I have conversations out, and take it how you will. Take it how you will. Take it how you will. Okay. Okay. There was an ordinance passed that limited the powers of the P&Z? The answer is no. So the most important, I'm fixing to shut this down, but before I do, I'm going to say this. The most important law is thou shalt not bear false witness. So quit lying and take that somewhere else. I've already told you I have no interest in hearing it. Anybody else? I agree. I appreciate the comment. But to touch, go ahead, Paul. and nobody wants to have to deal with that, and I understand it. Yeah. So it's, but I'm going to answer the question about the, yeah. 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 It's a rewarding. I mean, it's a very challenging place, position to be in, but it's very rewarding. That's how I feel about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, you want to make a difference, you want to make a change, affect change. I want to touch real quick on the question about the advisory board, and let's put this myth to rest as to what happened to the advisory boards. So we had these Parks Advisory Board, Tourism Advisory Board, and I don't remember how many total if there were, but so Parks Advisory Board. One, we knew we didn't have any money. We're not fixing to do anything to the parks. We don't have any projects ongoing right now, so we didn't kill the Parks Advisory Board. We just put it on hold for now. If something comes up and we end up getting some money or we get a grant and we're going to do something else with the park, then we'll create a task force of citizens and have them come in here and do this. What was happening, Manny was new. He comes in here, and then Gina, he comes in, and he's just now to the point that he's able to work on, really kind of get caught up and working on 2025 and beyond. When he spent all of 24 having to go back 4 or 5 years and correct and find out what problems were and fix all the way up to that. So he was drinking out of a fire hydrant at that point, wide open. And then he got very lucky, and then he got down to about a 2.5-inch line, and he could come up for air every now and then. But it was a race against the clock every day. And he comes in here and he's making these changes. So I'm glad he's here. I think he's the right man for the job for sure. And I just they come in here, they want to, like the advisory board, they want to sit here and they want to have conversations for hours and hours and hours. I'm not one to meet just to meet. It's non-productive. And he had so much going on, and Gina had so much going on. They didn't have the time. And Manny, he's just gracious. They would come in here like, hey, you have a couple minutes to talk to me? A couple minutes would turn into 2 hours. Now there's a quarter of his day, a quarter of his day gone talking to somebody when it could have been, it could have waited. And it was happening so much. We had other members of other advisory committees that were going and having conversations with businesses that we were in active negotiations with. And that's outside of their wheelhouse. It's not in their purview to do that. So that's why we did that, was to try to, one, save him some time, because he was spending hours a day and he wasn't able to get the things done. Same with Gina. So he was able to pass some of that off to Gina, but it kept happening to her too. And they were coming in, and it was just so demanding of his time. And then they wanted to meet with me, so demanding of my time. And I'll since I took over as mayor, and I hate this for my family and for my wife, but I signed up for this. This has cost my family financially, because I'm putting so much time into this that I'm not invoicing the hours that I need to. So they're like yesterday, Manny and I talked about it. I think it was Friday, and then again Monday. I didn't see Manny or Gina because I was working. Like, I was just trying to hammer down, get as much done as I could, do what I needed to do, so I could spend the rest of the week preparing. I do put, like, honestly, 50 hours a week easily into what I'm doing, having conversations. Contrary to popular belief and other theories, I do have conversations. I do listen. I hold meetings. I take phone calls. I return text messages. I return emails. All those things. I'm having conversations constantly. And nobody knows better than this lady right here. All hours of the night, my phone rings. My phone started blowing up at 5:30 this morning about the rain. So there's that. I do it because I love it, and I'm a fighter by nature, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it the only way I know how. Very direct, say what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. And if it stings a little bit, maybe that's just your pride message. Take a look inside and see how you feel about it. I'm not done talking. Hey, hey, Mr. Simmons, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm going to have you escorted out of here. I told you we're not going to have a debate tonight. I said that in the beginning. Chief. I appreciate that, Mac. All right, Ms. Whitfield, I'm going to take two more questions. I think we have, and I think that the outcome of the last two elections is proof of that. Sure. I would love to see more of that. Again, you know, people, the statement that I don't care to hear from citizens. I'm the one within a month of taking office that recommended to the board that we extend public comments from 3 to 5 minutes. Guys, did that happen? Because I know that it's not easy to get up here and speak publicly. There are some people who are not comfortable doing it. So by the time I call you up and you get up here and you say your name and your address, you're already out of breath. You're nervous because you're a group of elected officials. You got everybody out here. You don't know what their reaction is going to be to what you have to say. You're a nervous wreck. So by the time you catch your breath and can speak intelligently to something, beep, 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 your time's up. So I gave you an extra 2 minutes. Let's calm it down, take a deep breath. And the difference is in this board and previous boards is that when people are up here talking, you'll notice we lean forward and we listen. We make eye contact because we do want to hear what they have to say. And we do have whoever comes in here and there's supposed to be a follow-up conversation later on, those conversations happen the next day. If I don't know the answer to something, I'll say, I don't know. To me, that's that is a very appropriate response. If Bobby asked me a question, Bert, what about this? If I don't know the answer to it, I don't know is an appropriate answer. But Bobby, I'll get back to you. To sit here and blow smoke and try to make up something, to me, is not appropriate. Now, the difference is, and typically I try to get back by the end of the day. If I can't, I still make a phone call and say, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still looking into this. So that's just the way I like to do things. Do I drop the ball sometimes? I'm human. Absolutely I do. Do I forget to return phone calls? Absolutely I do. But you know who takes the brunt of that? This lady sitting right here. Because I know that my home life is taken care of. She's taken care of. She's okay. My son's okay. So I'm out here in the community doing this. But I return as many phone calls as I can. Do I miss some? For sure I do. But you know, you want to talk? You want to answer the questions? You want to know what I'm doing? The easiest way to find out what Bert Henry's doing or what I think about something is to ask me. Because again, I stand on my principles. I will fight for what I believe in, even if it's not a popular opinion. Because sometimes in history it is proven that things started out as unpopular. Just because it's unpopular doesn't make it wrong. Some of the things that I'm doing and leading some of my approach on some of it, me being direct. I'm not a politician. I don't have that in me to do that. I hope I never get to that point. I talked to Alan today, and I said, Alan, if I ever get to the point that you consider me a politician, you pull me aside before that happens, and let's have a conversation, because I'm not that guy. One more. Who we got? No more? Okay. All right. All right. I really do. Now we're an hour, 2 hours, and 10 minutes into this. I appreciate everybody that took the time to come out here tonight. I hope to see you. I'm going to hold 3 more of these, and I hope each one will get more and more informative.